My infertile sister raged when I got pregnant, claiming I stole a chance from others. My mother took her side and kicked me out. I, a 30 female, never thought my family would fight over assisting underprivileged youngsters. Everything started 7 years ago. However, I must share last week's events. Following college, I became an at-risk youth mentor at a local community center at 22. I teamed with Mary, a 10-year-old kid whose mother, Amanda, 35 female, was working and dealing with personal issues. Mary was smart but behind in school due to family instability. We had tutoring and activities twice weekly. Amanda called me late one night. After 6 months of coaching, she sounded exhausted and desperate. After her landlord evicted them, she couldn't find cheap housing. Amanda asked me to keep Mary for a few weeks while she recovered, due to space in my two-bedroom apartment. I accepted. 2 weeks became 2 months, then 3. Amanda visited occasionally but struggled to find work and housing. To authorize and help Mary, the mentoring program coordinator encouraged me to become a foster parent. Mary moved in 6 months after I finished home studies and fostered her. Amanda seeks stability. Right now, we get along almost daily. Mary was visited and called, never tried to replace Amanda. I told Mary her mother wanted her home. Amanda and I had a long conversation 5 years ago when Mary was 12 and I was 24. She had a steady income, but her home was unstable and she worried about removing Mary from the school where she had finally found success. We decided I should defend Mary's legal rights. Amanda battled this decision through tears. I watched her sign the paperwork because she thought her daughter would benefit. A new normal emerged. Mary debated, gained friends, and did well in school. Amanda visits her weekends and calls often. I safeguarded their relationship. Amanda contacted me 2 years later. She struggled to care for her kid, Ethan, while working full-time. She wanted me to foster him so the siblings could be together. After considering it, I took 2-year-old Ethan home, using accountant savings. I moved us to a 3-bedroom property with a yard. Work introduced me to 31 male Kevin. Last year, after months, he got a job in another state and we split up. We broke up without my knowing I was pregnant. I'm 25 weeks pregnant with my first. My older sister, Emily, 35, female, has been trying to conceive with her husband for 9 years without success. After several fertility treatments, each failure is awful. Emily always envisioned parenthood. She dreamed of it since infancy. She helped Mary move in with me by bringing clothes and toys and taking her on weekend outings. She welcomed Ethan into our family, but her visits decreased. She cited her job schedule, but I think the kids showed her what she needed. I told my family 3 weeks ago I was pregnant. My parents loved their new grandson. Emily offered a generic congratulations. Before switching topics, Emily stopped returning my calls and texts after that call. Last week, my mother hosted Sunday supper for us. I went alone because a friend watched Mary and Ethan. The meal was filled with pregnancy queries from my folks. Did I feel good? Did I consider names? Was the nursery ready? Emily stared at me coldly when the baby was mentioned. Before leaving after supper, Emily questioned me why I took 2 foster kids when I could have real kids. Table silence. Amanda got therapy. I became a foster parent to stabilize Mary. We decided permanent guardianship was best and Ethan moved in with me to keep the siblings together. I hardened Emily's face with every word. She said I forced my instant family on her. After years of trying, she argued that I had 2 children without trying to be a mother, and now I was carelessly having a biological child. The worst part was when she said it was cruel that I took 2 foster children who could have gone to parents who deserved them more since they couldn't have children. Her comments physically shook me. My foster kids weren't astonished to be sent to the best couple, but I felt her pain. Their mother asked me to help her house the kids safely. I apologize for her issues, but I wouldn't apologize for taking in poor children. Mom asked me to go. After quietly watching this encounter, I took my stuff without saying anything. Mom called the next day. She said my hostility to Emily was unnecessary given her situation. My sister was wounded and suggested I apologize. Emily received a text apologizing for my harsh comments, but not the content. I respected her journey and suffering, but I wouldn't take responsibility or let her imply my relationship with. Mary and Ethan snatched children from better parents. Emily ignored my text. Instead, I took Ethan to the appointment. The clinic nurses loved him, and he read picture books while the ultrasound technician conducted it. Watching him joyfully point at the TV when the baby moved made my mother and sister's absence less noticeable. After the visit, Mom texted to ask how it went and if I learned the baby's sex. Got the message, but didn't respond. Say what that a child may replace her at the clinic, that a stranger cared more about my pregnancy than my family? Dad called 4 days ago. His call surprised me because he's impartial on family issues. After my mother told him about skipping the anatomy scan, he checked on me. He occasionally asked questions, but mostly let me tell about what happened since supper. After I finished, he said something shocking. Emily and my mother were wrong. He added, providing a home for children who needed one was never something to apologize for. And while he understood Emily's pain, she had no right to make me feel guilty for my choices or my pregnancy. He volunteered to stay with me after the baby was delivered with his new wife, Susan. He proposed they help with Mary and Ethan for 2 weeks while I healed, even though they lived 3 hours away. I needed postpartum assistance after my mother volunteered for this position. I heard from Emily's husband, Tom, yesterday. After our fight and therapy, he reported Emily was inconsolable. No apology was requested. He admitted Emily's dinner remarks were unacceptable. He wanted me to know she was getting help and hoped we could reconcile. He was appreciated and I was delighted Emily was getting therapy. Reconciliation must value my 3 children and acknowledge that Mary and Ethan are youngsters who require safety and stability, not consolation trinkets for infertile parents. After sending that communication, I sat down with Mary to explain her aunt and grandmother's predicament in age-appropriate terms. To digest disagreements, grown-ups need time apart. I told her I assure her it had nothing to do with her or Ethan, and that I prioritized our family, including the new baby. Mary thoughtfully asked her aunt why the baby bothered her. I stressed that seeing others get what they want can make individuals angry. She agreed, adding she felt the same when her friend brought her the sneakers she wanted for her birthday, but her mom, Amanda, couldn't afford them. I occasionally admire 14-year-old wisdom. I accepted my father's postpartum aid via SMS this morning. Next, I updated Amanda by phone. She calls Mary twice a week and visits monthly. Her health is good. She was promoted at work and moved into her apartment over a year ago. She worried about the family tension and volunteered to keep both kids for a weekend before the baby arrived. So I could prepare my mother's loyalty to Emily over a milestone, and my pregnancy still affects me. I focus on people who've supported me and my kids instead of her. The child is male. All scan tests were normal. Mary is pleased to have another brother. First gift I gave her when she moved in, she gave him a plush elephant. Ethan doesn't comprehend, but he pats my belly and says baby, smiling. I haven't named the baby due to my busy schedule. It keeps sliding off. I have 12 weeks to decide, so suggestions are welcome. Thank you again for helping. It means more than you realize. Update 2. 3 months have gone since my last update, and the baby is 3 weeks old. Baby life comes first, but much has happened, and I want to update birth first. Alex, 7 pounds 2 ounces, was born 2 weeks early. Work was easy but tiresome. 14-hour runtime. My father and Susan arrived almost presciently the day before I gave birth. While I was in the hospital, they brought Mary and Ethan to visit Alex and me. Mary's reaction to her new sibling was beautiful. Her thorough treatment of him showed her wonder and pride. Ethan liked the hospital bed controls better than the baby, but he named Alex Tiny and caressed his head. Amanda took handmade baby blankets to the hospital. She sat with me when Mary showed her the baby and later said she was proud of Mary's youth. This time together via our unique family bonds is precious my sister and mother's health. My mother asked which hospital. After hearing I was in labor after Alex was born, I replied with his birth stats and a photo. When could she visit? I told her I wasn't ready for guests beyond immediate support. After talking to my father, I received many texts about my harshness and separating her from her grandson. She stated I was punishing her for supporting Emily and that a baby should unite the family. I needed time to recover without stress, so my father told her to depart. Alex received a large present. A week after hospitalization, a costly bassinet and baby clothing were inside. Tom and Emily signed the card, only names, no messages. So I called Tom to thank them for the gifts. He was astonished by my message and said Emily suggested the bassinet. He hesitated before saying she wasn't ready to talk. I said I appreciated the offer and the door was open for her to discuss. Mom unexpectedly visited my house 2 days later. Ethan was at playgroup, Mary was at school, and my father and Susan went grocery shopping. While I was alone with the newborn, she kept ringing the doorbell, waking Alex, who had fallen asleep after eating. She pushed by me into the house and went to the living room bassinet. When I opened the door, she grabbed Alex before I could stop her raving about meeting her grandson. I felt violated by her intervention and didn't want to upset the baby. I told her to sit down and that while I was glad she wanted to meet Alex, entering unannounced was wrong. I asked her to follow my boundaries if she wanted to join us. Should I not have hidden the infant from the family? She wouldn't need such measures. Mother's mood changed once father and Susan returned. Her planned visit included giving me the baby. After witnessing my face, my father advised my mother to leave. After crying, she called to say I was turning everyone against her. Emily sent me a long email the next day. Her therapist advised her to write but not communicate her feelings. She sent it anyway. She apologized and accused me, saying her dinner words were hurtful and that my ease at having children was a personal attack on her suffering. The final paragraph stated that she and Tom were authorized as foster parents and anticipated their first placement next month. She claimed that her therapist helped her realize her resentment at me was unwarranted and that foster care will heal her. She said she wasn't ready to see me or the baby but wished to reconcile. Good luck with her first placement and congrats on foster parent permission. I gave her some guidance from my early fostering days and offered to talk when she was ready. No reply. My dad and Susan stayed 3 weeks longer than intended. Their help was crucial. They maintained Mary and Ethan's schedules, kept the house running well, and gave me quiet time between feedings. I was prepared for their departure. Amanda comes twice a month. She offered to care for Mary and Ethan for a week in the summer so I could focus on the baby. Mary is excited about this plan. Since Amanda moved to a poolside apartment complex getting used to 3 kids, watching Mary read to her boys while they listen intently makes night feedings worthwhile. Ethan calls himself Mommy's helper and brings me diapers. While my mother and sister's issue remains unresolved, I found peace in focusing on our family in this house. My motherhood journey wasn't what I expected, but I wouldn't alter it for my 3 kids. Update 3. Alex, now a healthy, smart 9-month-old, has started crawling and getting into everything since my previous report 6 months ago. Though busy, my 3 kids and I have family routines. Emily and I are carefully repairing our relationship, which is the biggest news. I was texted 3 months ago to meet for coffee alone. I had Amanda watch the kids. She's my rock and met Emily at a cafe between our homes. Weather and haircut conversation dominated the first 10 minutes, making them awkward. She then showed me her phone photo of Marcus, her first foster child. Discussing Marcus affected Emily's face. She described his dinosaur fascination, reading difficulties, and nightly monster check under the bed. She detailed his nightmares, initial mistrust, social worker and biological family meetings, and other issues. Something she said showed her progress missed it. Fostering was supposed to fill my void. It's not about me. Marcus assists his mother till she can. I nodded, grateful for her way of understanding. She said Marcus's mother was sober and working to reconcile in a year. Emily shakily replied she would miss Marcus when he went home, but supported reunion. She apologized. She denied that I stole children from deserving parents or that fostering gave her comfort. She said her immune system had consumed her, preventing her from looking beyond her loss. Fostering Marcus showed her that systemic children don't solve adult issues. While their families heal, they need safe, temporary lodging. I accepted her apology and apologized for my harsh statements. During our fight, we spent the next hour talking about nighttime anxieties, reaching a child with walls and building biological family relationships. We became sisters after years of hatred. Emily wanted to see Alex, Mary, and Ethan before leaving. Marcus played in the park with us the following weekend. The kids clicked instantly. Mary directed the smaller boys, and Ethan appreciated Marcus's dinosaur knowledge after seeing only one baby photo. Emily hugged Alex, amazed with his progress. Our family meets monthly relationship. Repair continues. When old hurts return, tension rises. But we continue. My mother-otter bond is tougher to repair. After her unexpected visit, I wrote her a letter setting clear boundaries. No surprise visits. No criticizing my parenting or family structure. I made it clear she had to respect these boundaries to be with us. No response. After 2 months, card with a little letter arrived in the mail. I miss my grandchild willing to listen. Try brief supervised visits. She hesitated, but she relaxed when she saw I wasn't punishing her, just setting boundaries. Mary's school play last month featured my mother. She hugged and told Mary she was proud. Later that night, she pulled me aside and apologized for favoring her daughters. Her revelation of what mattered came from seeing all 3 children prosper under my care. Our relationship isn't ideal, but improving. Amanda stays with us. She brought her new beau to dinner at our house last month. Seeing her introduce him to Mary and Ethan was powerful. She encouraged my involvement in their lives and was confident in motherhood. This adventure showed me that family is about cooperation, not competition. Mary turned 16 last week. She requested calm conversation while we prepared her birthday supper after thinking she wanted to adopt us. We considered this over the years, knowing she could decide when she was ready. To hear her say she was ready made me cry. The legal process starts next month. Ethan 4 loves his big sister and entertains Alex. Alex makes Ethan laugh most. Emily and Tom are willing to foster their second child, whose mother needs time to recover. Emily called me for nursery advice, and we spent hours discussing the emotional and practical aspects of fostering a newborn. Marcus thrives under their care and will return next spring. Our journey has been surprising. When I started mentoring 7 years ago, I never imagined 3 motherhoods, an irreversible family breakup, and a deeper knowledge of family. Though hard, watching my children grow up with a biological and chosen family is worth it. Go to the next story, Story 2. My parents claim my sister's marriage was damaged by my advice. Months later, a horrible secret affects everything. I'm 34F and have endured months of family issues causing insomnia. Focusing on my younger sister, Ella, 29F, her arranged husband, Richard, 31M, and their 2 children, Jill, 7F, and Jack, 4MON. Ella met Richard in college. Opposites attract. Although Ella was organized, Richard was more casual. Their balance made things seem fine for a time. They married after college and had Jill, a year later. Richard was overjoyed with Jill's birth. He talked of teaching her while watching her sleep for hours. Richard was overjoyed when Jack was born 3 years later. He'd always wanted a son and was delighted to take Jack fishing and camping. However, changes occurred. Richard was often absent because his new job required more travel. Ella left with 2 young children and a full-time job. This stresses their connection. Ella lloró llamando Milano. She found a fair hint on Richard's phone. He denied it but admitted to feeling a connection with a coworker. When challenged, he maintained nothing happened, but trust suffered. After months of counseling, nothing worked. Richard was defensive and tough. Ella dijo 8 meses atrás que se separaron. They let Richard watch the kids every other weekend and review. After 6 months early on, things went well. Richard will pick up and drop off the kids Friday and Sunday nights. Finally, he apologized. He worked late on a weekend. Next, he was unwell. He took the kids once a month max. I have 8-year-old twins, Emma and Olivia, and 9-year-old Noah. Jill and Jack got along with their relatives, so I took them. When Richard canneled, I chose relatives above father. Disappointment for kids. Richard took advantage. He called me immediately to ask if I could take the kids on his weekend, saying, "Your place is usually better." Furious, but I didn't want to disappoint the kids. I told Richard repeatedly I suggested he help his kids. His excuses were common. Work, illness, or unavoidable plans stopped him from canceling. Spending time with his kids seemed optional. I have many terrible memories of this. My ex-husband Brian got worse after our divorce. He'd cancel at the last minute, leaving me scrambling for childcare. It took me a while to realize his actions hurt our kids and me. It finished last month. Even on his weekend, Richard asked me to take the kids on Friday afternoon. His explanation now forgot his concert tickets. I took the kids despite my fury. Ella looked exhausted. When she picked them up Sunday, she complained about Richard's dependability. She couldn't plan weekends since she didn't know if he'd take the kids. My Brian experience made me sympathize with her. I changed our custody arrangement so Brian could only get the kids. When he asked, I mentioned how easier it was not to rely on him following a schedule and how my kids were happier, not being disappointed. Ella took it seriously. She thanked me for listening and left with the kids. I thought that was it, but she notified Richard about changing their agreement. Richard raged at me the next day. He said I was trying to turn Ella against him and kidnap his kids. Shocked, none told Ella what to do. Shared experience. Richard didn't listen. When I explained, yelled at me for being a rotten sister and to mind my own business. I was fed up and snapped at him. If he wasn't inconsistent, Ella wouldn't change my family's divided. My family agrees with Richard that I shouldn't have interfered. Richard has always been special because he helped Dad renovate their kitchen a few years ago. My brother likes my performance. He never liked Richard after he missed his birthday. 2 years in a row, our parents are urging Ella to stay still after I opened her eyes. They say Richard is struggling and needs help, not criticism. I worry about overstepping. Should I have kept silent about my experience? Am I responsible for accidentally provoking family strife? All this reminds me of Jill and Jack. Jill is old enough to know her dad cancels, and I've seen her disappointment. Jack is too little to comprehend. He inquired why they saw their dad. Less part of me wants Ella and Richard to resolve it, but I also want to fight for those kids so they don't think their dad doesn't want to spend time with them. I keep thinking about how much happier my kids are after I change Brian. His commitment to the time makes him rarely cancel when they meet. It altered their life. Maybe every situation is different. Maybe Richard is just having a tough moment and will recover. I may project my issues upon Ella. No idea what to do. Should I apologize to Richard and my parents? Should I continue? Should I totally avoid it? I always worry that someone may dislike me. A month has gone since my last post and much has happened. I appreciate everyone's advice and assistance. So I was right to inform Ella about my experience. Post-fight tensions were high in our family. Ella was pressured by our parents to go, since Richard needed time to adjust to single dadhood. Ella separated. She didn't want to offend Richard, but she was fed up with his inconsistency. I avoided it. Whenever possible, I invited Jill and Jack to play with my kids, but Ella, not Richard. He wouldn't get more ammunition against me. One weekend, while the kids were there, Jill asked me why her dad didn't want to see them. The heart broke. I tried to imply she loved her dad, but adults have trouble. She seemed happier after our chat, but I'm not sure she understood. The culmination was 2 weeks ago. Weekend with the kids was Richard's plan. Ella dropped them off Friday night, but Richard called at 9 p.m. to say he had to work out of town and suggested she bring them up. Ella raged. She planned her childless weekend. Ella phoned me. She sobbed and requested me to watch the kids overnight. Sure, I agreed. Jill cried when she dropped them off, asking why her dad didn't want to see them, why they moved late at night. Puzzled and annoyed Jack, Ella came early the next day. She was ready to confront Richard and modify their deal as requested. I watched the kids while she talked to him. Ella was out, so I distracted the kids. They were afraid. While we baked cookies, played board games, and built a pillow fort in the living room, Jill kept asking when her mother would arrive, and Jack clung. Miss Ella vanished for hours. She looked fatigued but relieved. When she returned, she said she and Richard had a long, difficult conversation to defend himself. Richard said work was crazy, but Ella persevered. Richard was advised he would no longer have set weekends with the kids. He had to ask her a week ahead to take them for a weekend. Last-minute cancellations cost him his next shot. Ella continued despite Richard's disapproval. She told him his behaviors affected the kids, and this was his last chance to prove himself trustworthy. Parents were upset when they learned I was accused of poisoning Ella against Richard at my house that night. It was Richard's behavior, not my advice to Ella, I said. A fierce argument ensued. Our dad kept saying Richard was trying, and our mom accused me of jealousy, since Richard was a better father than my ex. That hurts. Despite his flaws, my ex was punctual. Every time Richard canceled on the kids, I reminded them how upset Jill and Jack were. I asked if Richard could treat his kids like options that made them pause, but they granted Richard more time. After the argument, parents left to think. Not talking to them is hard. Our family has always been close, so this rift hurts. Ella was helpful. Our conversation inspired her to protect herself and her children. She claims she neglected Jill and Jack to maintain peace. Peace is uneasy for now. Richard's accepted the change but is upset. Ella seems more in charge. The change is confusing, but kids are adapting. Recently, Jill wondered why things changed. I said her parents were trying to find ways to spend time with her and Jack. She agreed, but she seemed nervous. It may not solve everything, but it's a start. Without last-minute cancellations, Ella relaxes. This should inspire Richard to spend more time with the kids. I'm supporting Ella and the kids. Ella knows I'm always willing to help Jill and Jack. I'm also giving our parents space to help them change. While it's difficult and will take time for everyone to adjust, I think Jill and Jack will benefit. This new setup should provide them with reliable parents. Update 2. Again, things changed abruptly this month. New agreement with Richard appeared fine. At first, he scheduled a visit to the kids and arrived on time. Ella was cautiously optimistic. Ella cried on the phone. 2 weeks ago, she learned Richard lost his job 3 months previously without notifying anyone. He was preoccupied with job interviews or trying to make ends meet when he said he was busy or had to go out of town for business. This news saddens Ella. She and Richard were always upfront about money. They made all major decisions collectively. Richard lost her trust after keeping this secret for so long. Ella was confused. She was outraged that Richard lied to her and the kids. She regretted being hard on him when he struggled. She asked my counsel. I advised her to quietly talk to Richard and get all the information before making a decision. Ella agreed and met Richard the next day. Their conversation revealed much. Richard said he was too embarrassed to tell anyone he lost his job. Getting a new one before anyone discovered it took longer than expected. He couldn't afford to eat or take the kids out, so he canceled. Much is made clear by this. Though not justified, Richard's actions make sense. It reminded me that pride and embarrassment can cause unwise decisions. The solution was discussed for hours. Another deal was made. Ella is more flexible, but Richard must request the kids in advance. She offered to help with the kids financially while Richard looked for work. Ella told me this, and I was amazed but proud of her understanding. I told her to be cautious. She should check Richard's employment search to make sure he wasn't taking advantage of her kindness. Our parents altered their thoughts after learning. They criticized Ella for softening after scolding her for being tough on Richard. Ella shouldn't trust Richard's excuses. They warned another family conflict. Instead of making Ella stricter with Richard, our parents say I manipulated her again. Ella was an autonomous adult. I said parents indicated they were done after the fight. No further advice or help till we revealed our feelings. This entire episode has shown me how quickly we judge others without understanding the complete story. I think Richard should have been honest from the start, but I can appreciate how painful it was to lose his career. Ella and Richard are adjusting to their new agreement. More time with Dad makes the kids happier. Richard seems more interested with them, probably because he's less worried about them uncovering his secret. Supporting Ella as best I can, I've offered to help with the kids when needed and am monitoring the situation to avoid Richard from taking advantage. My guess is that Ella and Richard's honesty and cooperation will help everyone, especially the youngsters. Update 3 over 2 months since my last update I'm still processing. The outcome was surprising. Richard worried and called Ella 3 weeks ago. He had a great job interview, but it was the weekend he was supposed to have the kids. He advised Ella to switch weekends. Ella offered to help Richard find work. I watched Jill and Jack so Ella could rest on interview day. Nothing was wrong until Ella called me furiously at 3 p.m. Police contacted her recently. His car wrecked on the interview route without knowing what to expect. We went to the hospital. Despite Richard's broken leg and bruises, we were relieved to find him alive. Here, things get tough. The accident responding officer visited us while Richard was hospitalized. He said Richard's automobile had open alcohol containers and his blood alcohol level was high. Ella was devastated. That moment dashed her hopes for Richard's future. She cried in the hospital waiting. My anger prevented me from comforting her. Richard risked death. He missed a great job that may have supported his kids. A few days after Richard left the hospital, Ella approached him. He cried and admitted to drinking for years before splitting. He said it helped him cope with unemployment and shame over not supporting his family. Our uncle's lengthy alcoholism sprang to mind with this news. It broke up our extended family and took a long time to heal. We might do the same with Richard. I thought Ella separated her rage at Richard for jeopardizing everyone. She knew he needed help. After heated debate, the conclusion was reached. Richard accepted rehab. He can't visit the kids alone throughout treatment. Ella will update him twice a week via video chat on Jill and Jack. Explaining this to kids was hard due to her age. Jill had many difficult questions. Thank goodness Jack was too young to understand. The news shocked our parents. They apologized to Ella and me for missing signs. They've helped with kids in Richard's treatment, even though it took a major event to unify us. Having them back has been comforting. My mind is still processing. I'm furious with Richard for jeopardizing so many, but I hope he gets help. Helping Ella and the kids through this difficult time is my top priority. Ella is strong. She informed the kids in an age-appropriate manner that their dad is ill and seeking therapy. She attends Ellen and meetings for self-help. I've been trying to normalize Jill and Jack's time with me, including baking and watching movies. Despite their confusion and sadness, Jack is clingy and Jill suffers nightmares. Despite the emotional roller coaster and lengthy road ahead, I'm cautiously hopeful that this could be a turning point for Richard and his relationship with his kids. Time will tell. Today we're taking it day by day. Ella puts her kids in rehabilitation first. As Richard recovers, I'm attempting to be my family's supportive sister and aunt. I learned about communication, not jumping to conclusions, and family dynamics intricacy from this occurrence. Though difficult, I think we'll all be stronger. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.